Welcome to Assembly Update. I'm Asia Lowndes. We'll be speaking today with Assemblywoman Aileen Gunther of the 98th Assembly District in Sullivan and Orange counties. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me today.
We'll be discussing the Go Red for Women resolution that Ms. Gunther worked on, as well as the governor's recent budget address. So let's get right to it. Tell us about Go Red for Women.
Well, as a nurse and also as a woman, the reason that we have a resolution, it's called Go Red for Women, and on February 3rd, I guess what I'm going to talk about is asking women and husbands and fathers and grandfathers to wear red that day to increase awareness regarding cardiovascular disease and women. 460,000 women die each year of heart-related disease. That's about 1 every minute. And what's happening right now is women don't often, they think about breast cancer, they think about cervical cancer, but cardiovascular disease is a leading cause of death in women. So our resolution is about increasing awareness, making sure that we have early intervention, that women go for their health checkups on a yearly basis, eat right, exercise, whole grains, and if you're listening today, tell your mother or your sister to make sure that they do go and get their yearly checkups because it's so important.
Okay, so this is sort of a solidarity.
It is, and often as we talk about women and how we take care of our grandparents, I know my mom is alive and needs some assistance, and my sister and I both help with the care. My sister really does more than I do, and I have my mother and father-in-law that are 89 years old, as well as 3 kids that are grown. So you're very, very busy in work.
Right.
And sometimes, to take a day off to do what we should do for our health care, we don't often do because we have a million other appointments. But, now, with these kinds of statistics, we realize that one of the most important things that we could do is take that day. And as I told you before, January is my birthday month.
Right.
I went to 2 doctors in the last 2 weeks. I have 2 more checkups to go to. And, it's a commitment to myself, and it's a commitment to, lead a long and healthy life so I can spend it with my children and my family.
Right, and you mentioned, actually when we were talking before the show, there's a lot of focus on breast cancer and things like that.
Cervical cancer.
Right,
which is all important, by the way.
Right, absolutely important, but this is another huge issue that people seem to overlook when it comes to women.
Yeah, I think the commercials on TV, we talk about cervical cancer, breast cancer, but we don't see a lot of information regarding women and cardiac disease, except this morning. I did the resolution yesterday on the floor,
right,
and I was watching the news this morning, and there was someone that was giving the same information as I gave yesterday on the floor of the Assembly, and I was thinking, yay, that's great. That's a really great thing.
Excellent. So that's February 3rd?
February 3rd, we're red.
Okay, excellent. Now let's get into the budget. Right now, we're in the thick of it. The governor did an address a couple of weeks ago, pretty much laying out his budget plan.
Yeah, and just so people realize, these few weeks that before we really sit down and do negotiations, what we do is have public hearings and give people, not only in the Assembly or the Senate, but around New York State, the opportunity to speak and to react to what's proposed in the budget. And I think that's open and transparent government. And often you'll have agencies, you'll just have, people that saw something and follow, what happens in Albany, and they come and they want to testify. Yesterday we did the redistricting hearing, and there'll be 9 more of those hearings around the state of New York. Tomorrow is higher education, which is important to me because of the funding for community colleges. I have 2 in my district, really, really important. Of course, my kids, have attended SUNY schools, and I know how important those schools are to residents of New York State. A somewhat affordable education. It's getting more expensive as the days pass, but it's an opportunity for middle-class America to really go to schools. And the CUNY schools, my son Jacob is applying for his master's degree in a CUNY school, and it is affordable.
Right.
And I think we need to make sure that we have this important education in New York State and for middle-class America and low-income students, because otherwise these private institutions are just becoming, cost prohibitive.
Right.
They really are. And if you're not if you're middle class America, often you're not eligible for scholarships. And so what the heck can you do? And if we keep raising tuition, and I have kids that worked in the summertime. They had to work because they had to go back to school and have some money for their books, etc.
Right.
But at $7 somewhat an hour, it's very difficult if you have $1,000 increase in tuition and the cost of books, which is a pet peeve of mine, to really make up the difference.
Right.
So that's what budget hearings are all about. And I want to encourage my constituents. You can read the budget online. It's on the Assembly website. These are live coverage of these budget hearings. And if you want to respond and you want to call my office, or at the end of the program, they always have my numbers there.
Right.
I encourage you to email and call, because I really feel very strongly about me being a representative of the people that are in my district. And I don't know what you're feeling unless you, give a call. And often organizations like your county manager, your county executive might respond, or healthcare facilities. But on an individual basis, they're few and far between. I've heard a lot about fracking in my community because it's something that so many people in my community oppose, because
Right.
we moved to Sullivan County for a special reason. But I think it's important to have that discussion with people that I represent.
Okay. I do want to get to the governor's stance on casino gambling.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I just want to ask a quick question. You guys came back in December, the legislature, to kind of assess the tax code and work on that, and that made closing the budget deficit for this fiscal year much easier. Is that right?
Yeah, the governor brought us back in December, and he reconsidered. And some of the articles I read in the paper said something about like the governor, backed away from his, he never backed away from anything. He reassessed a situation that was going on, the economic situation in New York State, and nothing's written in stone, and that no matter what happens in life, we reassess constantly. And then when we do a reassessment and we feel there should be changes, that's exactly what this governor did. He knew that we had a large deficit. He wanted to close a $5 billion deficit. He didn't want to do it on the backs of middle class, lower income, seniors. We didn't want increased taxes, and what he did was after the 2% cap to save people from spending more money in middle-class America and seniors spending more money, this was a way to assess those people that made over $1 million. And I think that's the right thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do in New York State, and I think it's the right thing to do on a federal level. People are hurting. Middle class is hurting. There are so many foreclosures. Whatever we can do to ease the burden on middle class America, that's what we should do. And those are the people that spend our money, that keep our middle class, our economy healthy. And we also came back and we did something for the MTA tax on
Right.
small businesses, so that we could make small business healthy in New York State. And it doesn't impact upstate New York, but it's especially Orange County that I represent, and Rockland County. So we did things that were different, that we hadn't intended, or the governor hadn't intended on doing in the beginning of the year, but he knew these were the right steps to take.
Okay, excellent.
So now we have a $2 billion deficit.
Right, which
$2
is
billion. Last year, $10 billion. This year, $2 billion. And this year, you know what? God love the governor and God love the legislature, because this is the first year in 58 years we are not increasing the amount of money in the budget of New York State. We are actually decreasing it. Miracles do happen.
Right.
And they happen when people work together.
Right. There's been a lot of work together from both sides and
strong
both houses.
leadership is very, very important. You need a leader that's not afraid to tell New Yorkers what he believes in, what he thinks is the fair and the right thing to do, and that's so important.
Okay, excellent. I want to take a look at what the governor had to say about casino gambling,
Okay.
and then we'll discuss that.
Great,
So
great.
let's take a look at that.
Constitutional amendment to legalize casino gaming, as we've discussed. A relatively conservative estimate is $1 billion more projected revenue for the state. No cost to the state. Of course, we'd have some administrative costs. We believe we should combine racing and wagering and lottery to develop a new gaming oversight board, but those are relatively minimal administrative costs.
So what can you tell us about, I mean, for your district, it really means a lot.
I mean, it's great. It's absolutely great. And he already has sent a program bill down, right? We're in the middle of budget discussions, so I'm sure that I'm on Racing and Wagering and, you know, want to be involved in the discussion, and has always been important. We had first passage in 2001 of the first casino, and my husband Jay carried that bill. It was after 9/11, and this time this governor is serious. He knows that it can have a positive economic impact to the state of New York. Right now, we have New Yorkers going to Connecticut, to Pennsylvania, to New Jersey, and why shouldn't we keep New Yorkers spending money in New York if you decide you want to you know, go to a casino? Beyond that, for my district, what does it mean to me? We have been dying to create more hotels, more beds. You know, we have Bethel Woods. We have a beautiful area. The Catskill Mountains couldn't be more beautiful, and we just don't have any place for people to sleep. We used to be an incredible convention center, and we're asking that to happen that again. We have a lot of money that we invest in tourism in Sullivan County, and this will only enhance tourism. You know, we feel we'll draw, you know, people from, we're right across the border from Pennsylvania, we're right across the border from New Jersey, Port Jervis, you know, it's right on the border of New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So those are the people that we want to bring to Sullivan County. Beyond anything else, you know, last year we had 17,000 people coming to concerts at Bethel Woods, no place to stay.
Right.
And now they can stay for the entire weekend, and we can offer them the opportunity. They can go to the casino. The casinos have said that they're going to have great restaurants, they're going to have great entertainment, they're going to have things for families, not just casinos, because that's adult-oriented. They're going to maybe have water parks. So it really will complement the area. And again, it's going to help the economy of New York State. Deficit after deficit. We need money for education in New York State. There's no doubt. That's been a tremendous argument. There are schools all over New York State that are suffering. You know, we have had a decrease in the number of teachers in our schools. Our classroom sizes are getting larger, and no one wants to see that.
Right.
The only thing is, if you don't have money, you know, what are our alternatives? And we have to look at education. We have to do it more efficiently, and right now we have to increase the income. We have to decrease spending overall in New York State. We have to become more efficient, and this governor is doing that. He said no, what did he call them? Inflators, automatic inflators. He's stopping those automatic inflators, and he's also decreasing the size of agencies across New York State. He's using technology different, one call center for New York State, not 25.
Right.
And you know, we subcontract with a lot of companies, and you know, we want to make sure that we're streamlining government. If we're demanding that of schools, of healthcare facilities, of businesses across New York State, we have to be the example.
So we're really creating efficiency.
Absolutely. And again, we need more money. Casinos will bring more money. I think it's part of the equation. I think we still have to focus on agriculture. I think we have to focus on manufacturing. You know, we grow great things throughout New York State. You know, and I like that whole thing from farm to table.
Right.
And it's very, very important. We eat better. You know, sometimes I look at school lunches, and I have a pet peeve when I see things coming out of a can.
Yeah.
You know,
it's worrisome.
you wouldn't do it at home.
Right. Exactly.
And we want our children, and sometimes that's the only breakfast and lunch these children are eating.
Right.
So we want to look at our nutrition.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with Assemblywoman Aileen Gunther of the 98th Assembly District in Sullivan and Orange counties. Thank you for watching.